To our May Queen! Välkommen! Skål!
Midsommar ends with a smile creeping across the face of its protagonist, Danny. It looks like a happy ending.
It's designed to play as a happy ending.
But is it? After all, what she's smiling at is death. The sight of her own boyfriend and 8 others being engulfed in flames. The grisly finale feels like a moment of triumph for this character who spent the whole film enduring emotional torment.
I don't know why I'm here. I don't know and I can't...
Come on,
No.
come on, sit down then.
Watching the suffering of others who've wronged her provides her the satisfaction of retribution and lets us participate in a revenge fantasy that might feel especially liberating to anyone who's suffered a very bad breakup.
Do you not love me anymore?
But if we do smile along with Danny, what does that say about us? Here's our take on how Midsommar tells a different kind of horror story, one that's less about things lurking in the darkness than the truths lurking inside us, and why its terrifying ending is the key to this twisted fairy tale.
It's cultural, you know?
You're watching The Take. Let us know your take.
This video is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe. It's like your own personal film festival, streaming anytime, anywhere.
So we're just gonna ignore the bed?
It's a bear.
Midsommar boasts a classic horror movie premise. A group of friends head off on vacation to a remote destination.
Mr. Pell's invited us to an authentic hippie midsummer at his yodeling farm.
When the group arrives in the Swedish village that's home to a commune of people known as the Horga, they're confronted with another sight familiar to horror fans. Pagans excitedly preparing for festivities to come.
Welcome to Horga, and happy Midsummer.
From classics like The Wicker Man to modern riffs like Kill List, we know what to expect. These pagans' festivities will surely involve our protagonists getting picked off one by one.
I think I ate one of her pubic hairs.
Sounds probably right.
But while most horror movies would reveal this slowly, Midsommar hides almost nothing, beginning with an opening tapestry that shows us everything that's going to happen. We see the death of Danny's family,
I was so very sorry to hear about your loss.
Christian failing to comfort her as Pelle watches, Pelle luring the group into a forest, the Horga greeting them with proffered cups and symbolic skulls, the suicide ritual of 2 elders, the maypole dance, and above it all, the waiting throne. It's all as matter of fact as the Horga themselves, who respond to questions with honesty.
What happens at 72?
Even if the truth is horrifying.
Reuben was a product of inbreeding. All of our oracles are deliberate products of inbreeding.
This openness extends to their gruesome suicide ritual, the Atastupa.
Those 2 Hujans has just reached the end of their Horga life cycle, and you need to understand it as a great joy for them. Joy? Yes.
Here, everything is right out in the open, in broad daylight.
It's 9 p.m.
That can't be right. The sky's blue.
Echoing this out in broad daylight feel, Midsommar itself, with its wondrous visuals of nature and music that's frequently more magical than foreboding, doesn't play like a traditional horror film. And that's because, according to director Ari Aster, it's not. It's more of a fairy tale than a horror film, he said, one inspired by the end of his own relationship.
I just wanted to write a breakup movie. I saw a way of marrying the breakup movie that I had at the time with the structure of a folk horror film.
Much as Aster's Hereditary used the tropes of ghosts and demonic possession to explore themes of grief and family trauma, the real horror of Midsommar lies not in those pagans, but in Danny's toxic romance with her boyfriend Christian.
It's still just another obvious ploy for attention, just like every other panic attack she's given you.
Yeah, you're right. I'm very lucky to have you.
Yeah, well.
As a fairy tale, Midsommar has obvious roots in the stories of the Brothers Grimm, where young innocents wander into strange places and often meet violent ends. But as Aster told Vulture, it's also a Wizard of Oz for perverts. The group travels from a dark and dreary reality into the vivid Technicolor land of the Horga.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
So this is the place.
The tranquil and majestic Horga.
Like Dorothy in Oz, Danny endures a traumatic event that upends her world before meeting fantastical strangers who help lead her over the metaphorical rainbow, in this case using drugs, sex, and death.
Oh my!
And we realize that while her hapless friends may be trapped inside a horror film, Danny is in her own personal fairy tale, one that's really a journey of self-discovery.
This is a folk horror movie, but for Danny, for the main character, it's a sort of perverse wish fulfillment fantasy.
From the moment we meet her, Danny is scrambling for human connection, but finding her calls unanswered and her emails unread.
Listen, I got kind of a scary email from Terry, and she hasn't been responding. Surprise, surprise.
She's alienated and alone. Her phone history is a list of contacts she didn't connect to, and her boyfriend acts burdened and annoyed by her.
She does this every other day, Danny, and only because you let her.
Well, I don't let her. She's bipolar,
Yeah,
so...
I know, but you do though, babes. You go straight to crisis mode.
Christian withholds his emotions from her.
I've never even seen him cry, so I'm the only one that's leaning.
Or the only one opening up, the only one making yourself vulnerable. That's intimacy.
Which leads her to view her own emotions as a problem, one she fears could drive him away.
What if I have overwhelmed him and he thinks that I just have too much baggage?
Because she can't face losing Christian or anyone else, Danny tries to play the cool girl.
Men always use that, don't they, as their defining compliment. She's a cool girl. Cool girl is game. Cool girl is fun. Cool girl never gets angry at her man.
She takes medication to suppress her feelings and masks the distress in her voice before talking to him on the phone.
Hey, sweetie. What are you up to?
When Christian lies about booking a trip to Sweden without telling her.
I just decided today. I wasn't keeping it from you.
You already have a ticket.
Danny is the one who ends up trying to appease him.
I really think we should just leave.
No. Please. I'm not trying to attack you.
It
I'm not.
really feels like you are.
Well then I'm sorry. I just got confused.
And when she tags along on their vacation, she's so afraid of driving Christian and the others away, she isolates herself whenever she's overcome by emotion.
Sorry. I'm gonna go for a walk.
She won't even allow herself to give him a hard time over the cardinal boyfriend sin of forgetting her birthday.
I'm not upset. It's okay.
You should be.
I should be.
As toxic as this relationship is, Danny is terrified of being alone. But then she discovers that among the Horga, no one is really alone.
I mean, everybody sort of does everything together.
The Horga model their lives on nature and the way its pieces are all interconnected in a unified whole.
Nature just knows instinctually how to stay in harmony.
They've created a place where everything is shared, from possessions to parenting.
The babies are raised here by everyone.
Even death isn't scary to them because the living and the dead are joined.
We view life as a circle, a recycle.
And while Danny is at first uncomfortable with this strange place,
I just really need to not be here right now.
She comes to realize that this unity with others is exactly what she's been missing in her life.
And I was raised by a community that doesn't bicker over what's theirs and what's not theirs. A real family, which everyone deserves. And you deserve.
The film's title takes on another layer of meaning when you consider that Danny and her 20-something friends are in the phase of life that the Horga might describe as Midsommar.
Well, we think of life like the seasons. So you're a child until you're 18, and that's spring. And then at some point we all do our pilgrimage, which is between 18 and 36, and that's summer.
We can even read Danny's loss of her family as a universal metaphorical reflection of the transition to independent adulthood, as many people her age separate more from their given families and look for a new emotional home.
You guys are like my family. You're like my real, actual family.
In this culture's worldview, the summer period of life is defined by a pilgrimage, a great journey where the objective is seeking higher meaning, understanding the nature of existence, and one's place in the world. Through her pilgrimage, Danny gains self-understanding, significantly during a festival which commences on her birthday, and she becomes strong enough to admit that the temporary family she's been trying to fit in with, Christian and his friends, don't provide the home she needs.
Danny, do you feel held by him? Does he feel like home to you?
So the true happy ending to her fairy tale is at last feeling held by a real, new family replacing the original one she lost.
You are the family now, yes? Yes, you are the family!
Among the Horga, she is innately understood, even when they don't speak the same language.
I don't speak Swedish, English.
And most importantly for Danny, the Horga even share their emotions, from the heights of pleasure to the most horrific pain. Far from making her feel ashamed of her pain like Christian does, they take it on and participate in it with her. Like other fairy tale protagonists, in the end, Danny discovers that she's far more powerful than she ever suspected.
You've always had the power to go back to Kansas. I have.
Then why didn't you tell her before?
Because she wouldn't have believed me. She had to learn it for herself.
The Horga recognize that Danny is special because she's such an emotional person. Her heightened sensitivity gives her an enhanced perceptiveness her peers lack.
What about Josh, though?
I'm honestly not too concerned.
And even lets her anticipate things before they happen. The Horga use a similar emotional perceptiveness to evaluate their guests.
We are so very happy to have you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pelle has an immaculate sense for people.
So Danny's journey to happiness means finally letting go of the false belief that she needs to repress her feelings, which are in fact her superpower.
Okay, but I'm not an anthropologist and I don't understand any of this.
Yes, I know. And yet I was the most excited for you to come.
When she does, the Horga don't only welcome her and save her from feeling alone, they anoint her their queen.
You are our May Queen.
Me? Yes. Why?
Just as nature includes brutal elements within its harmony, though, accepting her emotions also includes embracing those darker feelings that don't fit our classic ideas of a fairy tale queen.
What does that mean?
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
To a degree, the deaths of the outsiders offered as human sacrifices in Midsommar abide by the conventions of a standard horror film. Mark, in particular, is a familiar horror archetype, the prototypical bro who thinks of nothing but getting laid.
Oh my God, the women here. What is it that makes them hotter?
Like countless men in slasher movies before him, Mark is easily lured to his death with the promise of sex.
I'll show you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, great. I'll be back, I guess. She's gonna show me.
He's also a jerk who mocks his hosts.
Somebody should tell those girls they're walking stupid.
And thoughtlessly desecrates their ancestral tree.
It's a dead tree, though. It's dead.
Yeah, I know, but it's important to us.
I just had to pee.
Mark is a fool.
What are the kids playing?
Skin the fool.
And so, he pays for it. Josh, meanwhile, is the classic interloper.
You're meddling with powers you cannot possibly comprehend.
Although he's seemingly respectful of the Horga and their traditions, he's seeking to exploit them for personal gain.
My focus is actually on European Midsommar traditions, which is basically the impetus for this whole trip.
Josh views the commune's rituals largely through an academic detachment. He's a tourist.
Can I take a photograph?
What?
Photograph.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, sorry.
As with Mark, this fatal flaw is what leads Josh to his doom. Given that this is ultimately a breakup movie, Midsommar proceeds according to emotional logic.
We describe it like emotional sheet music.
So the true reason Mark's and Josh's deaths feel justified is because of their symbolic relationship to our protagonist, Danny. Mark is shown to be callous, even hostile to her.
That's not her again. Seriously? Oh my God. She needs a therapist.
While Josh regards her with cold indifference as an unwelcome distraction from their academic pursuits.
Do you think that there is a masochistic part of you that is playing out this particular drama to avoid the work you actually need to be doing?
They represent toxic, uncaring, masculine attitudes she has to purge from her life. But by far the most destructive of these demons is Christian.
Can Christian come with me?
Nay. The queen must ride alone.
Christian's defining sin is passivity, which is rooted in selfishness.
Everything you give me is a reminder that I'm not doing enough for you in this relationship.
He hurts others through inactivity, like keeping a woman he doesn't care about hanging around in a dead-end relationship because he's afraid that making any choice could deny him something he might potentially want.
You have got to get off the fence with this.
What if I regret it later and I can't get her back?
You don't want her back.
I might.
Even when he has sex with another woman while his girlfriend is nearby, Christian does this passively, allowing himself to be drugged and led to the act, as if this way he can pretend he isn't really choosing to do it. By the end of the film, his passivity has even been rendered literal through his immobilized body.
Listen, you can't speak, you can't move.
Ultimately, this character is the opposite of the Horga in every way, never sharing, always taking what he wants. While the Horga are bluntly honest out in the daylight, Christian uses a fake nice guy front to feign obliviousness to the harm he causes, whether he's booking the trip without telling Danny, or stealing Josh's thesis.
That's why you look so guilty right now, because you know that what you're doing is unethical and leechy and lazy.
And whereas Danny and the Horga are defined by their feeling, Christian is a picture of apathy, not knowing what he wants.
And then we'll remind you again that you've been wanting out of this stupid relationship for like a year now.
Passionate about nothing.
Find your own subject, or your own passion.
And loyal to no one.
And if he did take that book, I just pray you understand we don't associate as friends of his or collaborators or anything.
Ultimately, Christian's death is portrayed as a karmic punishment for being both a terrible boyfriend and a garbage human being.
Vi förvisar dig till det djupa mörker där du kan begrunda vad ont.
But it's not the Horga or the rules that dictate this. It's Danny.
We patiently wait your verdict.
This fairy tale's ending is far from a storybook happily ever after. 5 people are murdered. 4 commit suicide. Danny is now in the clutches of a violent cult, and her face suggests she may be losing her own sanity. So why, given this set of facts, do many viewers feel satisfaction, even elation, upon viewing Danny's victory over her worthless boyfriend?
It's all kind of designed to really make you want that ending.
Ultimately, this ending is a revenge fantasy in the vein of Lars von Trier's Dogville, a favorite of Astor's that he's cited as an unconscious influence. Like Midsommar, Dogville ends with an exhilarating yet unsettling sequence of a mistreated woman getting murderous revenge against those who've wronged her.
Do the kids first and make the mother watch. Tell her you'll stop if she can hold back her tears.
As Astor put it, what that film does with catharsis is what I want to do with the catharsis here. I want it to be a joy. I want the ending to be exciting and kind of crowd-pleasing. And then, at the same time, I want it to be something complicated that you'd have to contend with. When we do step back to contend with why we find Danny's ending cathartic, we have to question why it feels good for Christian to meet this bitter end. He's dishonest, lazy, and a really crappy boyfriend.
You didn't think I forgot, did you?
But does that mean he deserves to die? Studies have found that these revenge fantasies appeal to us because they allow those who feel weak or downtrodden to gain a vicarious sense of power and purpose. They also expose the fact that how we react to violence on screen largely depends on how much we empathize with the one committing it.
So believe me when I tell you that I know what it's like, because I really, really do.
Danny's revenge will likely feel relatable to anyone who's felt underappreciated and mistreated by an unworthy partner. As Astor has said, Midsommar is a melodrama based on real emotions, meant to be as big, consuming, and cataclysmic as breakups tend to feel. It's not the end of the world, but in a way it is. So ultimately, what we're relating to here isn't the literal act of murdering your ex. It's the feeling that the only way you can move forward when a relationship ends is by burning every trace of that person out of your life, to collapse their world the way they've collapsed yours.
If there is any legacy for the film, I would love for it to be a movie that people go to when they're going through a breakup.
And in the end, Midsommar is satisfying because it bluntly drags these uncomfortable emotions that we might usually repress or deny out of the shadows and into the daylight, with a knowing smile on its face.
Are you not disturbed by what we just saw?
Yeah, of course I am. That was really, really shocking. I'm trying to keep an open mind, though.
If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified about all our new videos. This video is brought to you by Mubi, a streaming service we love. Mubi is a treasure trove of films. Every day, Mubi premieres a new film. Whether it's a movie you've been dying to see or one you've never heard of before, there is always something new to discover. So in this world where it's very easy to spend hours debating what you should watch, Mubi is like having a really cool friend with amazing taste in movies, making it so much easier for you. They feature hard-to-come-by masterpieces, indie festival darlings, influential art house and foreign films, lesser-known films by your favorite famous directors, and more. Plus, you can even download the films to watch offline, and there are no ads, ever. Right now on Mubi, you can check out Jacques Rivette's elusive 13-hour masterpiece, Out One, often considered the holy grail of cinephilia. Conceived as a series, the film consists of 8 feature-length episodes and features countless French New Wave legends, including Jean-Pierre Léaud and Juliette Berthaud. We can't recommend Mubi highly enough. You can try it out now for free for a whole month. Just click the link in the description below.